Dispenza with LNTV, and joining me today is Lisa Donner. And Lisa, just lucky, I guess, happens to be in South Florida, and we'll let her tell her story about what that means and Irma's pending arrival on the peninsula. Lisa?
Well, actually, Scott, we're not in South Florida. We are in Florida. We're located in Sarasota, Florida, which is the west coast of Florida, about 2 hours north of Naples, 1 hour south of Tampa. So that gives you an idea of the geography. And there is plenty of panic here, even though we're not in the direct path of Irma.
You say panic, Lisa, and I'll forgive you for the geography lesson. It seems south to me, but so if you're not south, then tell us what kind of panic. What are you seeing out and about? I mean, I'm assuming at least today, anyway, as we record this at just about 11 a.m. On Thursday, you look outside, and what do you see? You don't see torrential rain and 100-mile-an-hour winds, right? So that's so tell us what's happening outside right now, and when you say panic, what are we talking about there?
Well, Scott, if I look out my window right now, I see blue skies and sun here in Sarasota, Florida. But you have to think about the fact that a lot of people in Florida are older, and there is a little bit of PTSD going on from Harvey. We went out with some friends for dinner last night, and they were talking about putting up steel bars outside their home. Another friends of ours who actually live on Sarasota Bay have evacuated their home, and that's probably a good idea because we don't know exactly how much rain we're going to be getting. But as we were eating dinner, we caught up with the manager of the restaurant, and she noted that right in that plaza was BJ's, which is a pretty big store, and they were closing because they were out of everything. And that's kind of a classic example of what's going on in terms of a run on food and water, etc.
Well, you said actually one thing that you said sort of struck a note, and I'm curious about how much research went into that. I know that you've considered evacuating yourself, and you said that evacuation might be a good idea. I've seen some things on Facebook from some people who are in Florida who've talked about the situation on the roads not being ideal with so many folks from the Keys and truly down south getting out. What's the calculus there? Tell me about your thoughts on trying to get out and whether, are you advising people to get out? Is that what you think should be done or what?
Well, certainly if you live in Miami-Dade, which is the east coast in the south of Florida, just a few miles north of Cuba, you should be preparing and perhaps evacuating. It's my understanding that 95, the interstate running along the east coast of Florida all the way up north, was pretty packed. And my husband actually has to drive me north, and we're giving ourselves plenty of time because I have to go to another location just north of Tampa for the weekend. So I think the roads were pretty packed. There's also a lot of price gouging going on here. We looked into tickets out of Sarasota 2 days ago, and one ticket was $1,600 on American Airlines. So that kind of shows you what's going on, in addition to the fact that gas prices have gone up. And my husband had to go to 2 gas stations. At the third, he finally waited in line for gas. People were cutting in, and he basically almost got into fisticuffs with someone. So like Harvey, hurricanes can bring out maybe some good things in people, and it also brings out some bad as well.
Lisa, as you look at the coverage, throughout the media's representation of the storm and its buildup, is it true to your story and what you're seeing down there, or what do you have to say about that?
I think that is part of the problem, Scott. The National Hurricane Center only sets their models 3 times a day, 5 a.m., 11 a.m., 5 p.m., and 11 p.m. So between that time, there's really not any new news. And yet, I think the local media pretty much whips up the frenzy. They're concerned, and that makes the elderly people concerned here. And then everyone starts to panic and heads to the stores or heads to the roads or begins to evacuate. So I do think the media is a little bit culpable. I don't know if it's ratings. I don't know if they're just trying to make sure that they don't do anything to put anybody in harm's way. But I think a little more realistic coverage of this would be advantageous for people in Florida.
Okay, well, there you have the story from the west coast of Florida. Thank you, Lisa. This is Scott Cosenza with LNTV, and that's all for now.